Hello, my name is Marissa Caldwell, and a few months ago, my world turned upside down, literally. Just days after learning I'd inherited $80 million and my aunt's river house estate, my car skidded off a rain-slick highway. I survived bruised, but alive. Yet the real crash came later when my own sister looked at me not with relief, but with shock and greed. That was the moment I realized my fight wasn't against broken bones or recovery, it was against betrayal inside my own family. And the battle for my legacy had only just begun. Rain sheeted down over DC, rattling the windows of Gregory Shaw's office while I gripped the phone. His voice was lawyer steady, every word precise. Aunt Lydia's will had cleared. 80 million in assets and River House on the Charleston waterfront were now mine. Memory tugged me back 12 years old, a brass key pressed into my palm. One day this will remind you who you are. At the time, I thought she meant a secret door. Now I knew she meant resolve. I packed with muscle memory from service life, crisp folds, squared edges. The key went into my pocket. Then the drive south, wipers slashing against March's fury. Past Richmond, the asphalt turned to glass. A van swerved. Tires lost grip. Metal screamed. Then silence. Fluorescent light dragged me back. A medic's voice counted vitals. Antiseptic stung my nose. In the hospital ward, every movement hurt, but nothing fatal. Training whispered, breathe, catalog, conserve. Helen Carter, the nurse, had sharp eyes and brisk hands. If you need anything besides denial, push the button, she said, tucking the blanket tight. By morning, Gregory arrived, leather folder in hand. The trust drafts are ready. We'll sign once you're steady. Until then, silence. Especially around family. His eyes lingered. He knew exactly where trouble would come from. He was right. Danielle appeared before lunch, perfume sharp as citrus. She fussed over lilies, her face painted with concern. You shouldn't worry about handling it alone. I can take charge. Velvet tone, steel, intent. She asked about the lawyer, the key, whether Mom knew. I gave half answers. Her smile thinned. Helen broke the tension, stepping between us with a chart. Danielle's pout was rehearsed as she set down the bouquet. I'll be back with a plan, she murmured. When the door shut, Helen leaned closer. Someone tried to access your medical file. Not staff. We blocked it. Be careful. Later, shifting the flowers, I found what Danielle had really left behind, a card. Clear Harbor Ventures, her name already printed as managing director. The ink looked fresh, shameless. Under the blanket, the brass key dug into my palm. Its edges bit like a promise. My voice rasped a vow only I heard. If I don't hold the line now, River House will be the last thing I lose. They thought pain would slow me down. But in silence, I was building walls they couldn't see. By April, the dogwoods outside my hospital window had opened white against the green. Sunlight filtered into the ward, softening the antiseptic bite. My ribs still ached, but I'd learned to breathe around the pain. The quiet became a tool. It gave me room to plan. Helen's warning about the snooped files never left my mind. If Danielle had already started probing, she wouldn't stop. Gregory Shaw arrived with his briefcase heavy enough to tilt his shoulder. He set a folder on the tray table with the care of someone handling live explosives. This is the airtight trust, he said, flipping it open. Pages bristled with clauses, signatures, and cross-references. Every asset Lydia left, liquid or stone, is locked here. Sign in blue ink only. Black copies too easily. We leave nothing she can counterfeit. His pen gleamed cobalt under the light. Each signature drained strength I didn't have to spare, but every stroke was a barricade. By the end, my name ran across the pages like a wall of its own. Gregory gathered the papers into a binder, snapping it closed. This is your shield. Keep your circle small. When he left, my phone vibrated with a call from Samuel Torres. We'd served together. Now he ran quiet checks for people who couldn't afford surprises. She filed paperwork this morning, he said. Clear Harbor Ventures, Charleston Registry, lists herself as managing River House under family consolidation. His chuckle was dry. Ambitious considering you're not dead. I kept my voice even. Thank you. Keep watching her trail. Later that afternoon, Gregory strode back, in sleeves rolled anger tucked behind his professionalism. She's been pitching lenders with your name. We've sent a cease and desist. First of many, I suspect. He slid a copy across my bed. The language was formal, but the subtext was a fist. Danielle, back off. As if on cue, Aaron Blake's text flashed on my screen. You didn't send this, did you? She attached a forwarded email. I hereby delegate authority to my sister, Danielle Caldwell, to act on my behalf. My breath caught. The timestamp matched the night of my crash. Aaron's note followed. Header shows it was sent from her device. Amateur mistake. When Gregory returned, I showed him. His jaw tightened. He snapped the binder shut with a crack that made the water pitcher jump. She's not just ambitious, she's committing fraud. And we'll need every shred of this at the hearing. By evening, my room glowed in television light. The news anchor's voice floated over footage of a ballroom in Charleston. Danielle stood center stage, hair flawless, dress shimmering, gesturing as if she owned the world. Behind her stretched a massive banner of River House, its painted columns lit like a trophy. Investors applauded, cameras flashed, and she smiled as if the inheritance had already changed hands. The brass key lay under my pillow, cool and steady, while the screen showed her rehearsing a theft in plain sight. They called it family stewardship. I called it breaking and entering. May's sky burned as I eased into the drive. River House breathed, the porch boards sighed, magnolias stirred, a security light blinked. I came to breathe, not fight, but voices floated from the parlor. Danielle's laugh was stage bright, a man's tone professional but cautious. I lifted the phone-tapped record and crossed the threshold. The house took my weight like it remembered me. Danielle pivoted with a camera-ready smile. Beside her, a tall broker straightened his tie. Kane, he said, Moore and Sanderson. Tour's over, I told them. You're both trespassing. Danielle's gaze skimmed my cane, then the red dot on my screen. Family doesn't trespass. Family stewards. Courts disagree. I unfolded a document. No trespass order. Filed last week. Kane paled at the seal. Ms. Caldwell. I was told you were told wrong. I said not unkindly. And now you know. He fled down the steps, mumbling apologies. Danielle lingered, fingertip gliding over the mantel like a claim. Paper won't keep me out, Marissa. Family will. Family tried, I said. River House kept the receipts. Her smile thinned. You think a phone makes you strong? I leaned toward the mic so it would carry. Silence isn't weakness. It's a record. Blue light washed the windows. The officers were polite in the practiced way of people who've seen every shape of entitlement. They photographed the posted order, logged timestamps from my video, and took our statements beneath the slow fan. I printed my name carefully. My shoulder still kept March's ache. Ma'am, one said to Danielle, you are on notice. Repeat this, and we escalate. The carbon copy slid into an envelope marked E3. I locked up and drove straight to Gregory's. Lamplight pooled over casebooks. Corkboards stitched the wall with twine. He scanned the report, then the clip, pausing on Danielle's face as the patrolman spoke. Clean chain of custody, he said, clipping E3 under a heading hearing. From the stack, he passed an envelope. Licensing board set a public hearing. June 18th, 10 a.m. Cameras, transcripts. Good, I said. She liked stages. Back home, the phone rang before I'd set my keys down. How could you call the police on your sister? Mom's voice shook. You don't drag blood into court. She walked a broker through a house that isn't hers, I said. I asked the law to do what it's for. She was exploring for family, she snapped. Her silence cut more than words. Heartless, she whispered and hung up. The quiet pressed hard. I took out the brass key and let its teeth steady my hand. A new text arrived from a local number, Mrs. Holbrook. I kept Lydia's pantry 30 years. Your aunt never doubted you. Don't let them rewrite her wishes. Gratitude sat heavy. I saved her contact and set the phone on a stack of atlases. I filmed one more entry for the log porch angle's lock plate, the scuff on the back latch. Danielle's sedan ghosted at the edge of frame. No raised voices, I murmured. No drama. All paper. Gregory's email landed after 10, notice of public hearing, June 18th, 10, ever 0 a.m. One line below it. We pace it. We let them hang on their own words. I typed received and felt the day run out of me like tide through pilings. I lay on the sofa listening to the house settle, the fan slicing warm air, a night heron calling from the river. The family thread chimed. The screen filled with Danielle's theater, a PDF dressed like concern weaponized into a whisper. My stomach dropped at the choreography of pity and doubt. They wanted a spectacle. I gave them the truth under the bright lights they chose. June heat clung to the Charleston County Licensing Board chamber as I walked in with a file box balanced against my hip. Fans groaned overhead, press cameras blinked red, and the benches were packed. Danielle already stood at the podium, silk dress, gleaming voice perfectly pitched. In light of my sister's unfortunate crash and her cognitive decline, she told the board, I am prepared to assume family stewardship of River House as managing director of Clear Harbor Ventures. The room hummed approval. My mother twisted a handkerchief in silence. I slid into the seat beside Gregory. In my pocket, the brass key dug into my palm, Aunt Lydia's anchor since childhood. Danielle's slideshow projected River House framed as her future prize. Investor commitments are ready, she concluded, chin lifted with certainty. Gregory rose with practiced calm. Point of order. We request to introduce sworn exhibits. Commissioner Barnes lifted his eyes. The room leaned in as Gregory opened our box. Exhibit E1, he said, placing a binder under the camera. The airtight trust. Original blue ink signatures with striation analysis. It establishes sole control with Ms. Marissa Caldwell. The clauses bloomed across the monitors. Danielle's smile thinned. Exhibit E2, Gregory continued, holding up stamped letters. Cease and desist notices sent to lenders misled by Clear Harbor Ventures. A line read aloud dropped like a hammer. Barnes nodded. Received. I rose, walked steady to the podium, and set down the file box. The cameras found me. I don't raise my voice, I said into the mic. I raise documents. Exhibit E3, Gregory said. The screens lit with the video from River House, Danielle, guiding broker Kane through the parlor, my voice announcing trespass, the police report with timestamps. A hush spread. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. Danielle leaned toward the dais. That was a preliminary tour. Exhibit E4, Gregory cut her off. He turned. Lieutenant Blake. Erin swore in her uniform, razor sharp. Our forensic team confirmed this email was not authored by Ms. Caldwell. Device ID shows it originated from Danielle Caldwell's account. She held the page steady under the camera. Forgery. Gasps rippled. Danielle's face blanched white. For the first time since the crash, she faltered. My mother whispered, broken, "You lied." All this time, Barnes rapped his gavel once. Ms. Caldwell, confine yourself to facts. Danielle opened her mouth, but no script remained. Gregory lifted the brass key to the camera. A symbol only, he said, but it belongs to one client along with River House by law. He closed the lid of the box. The rest is noise. I looked squarely at the board. River House isn't a stage for ambition. My aunt wrote her wishes in ink. I write mine in ink today. Read them. The chamber held still, then Barnes nodded to his colleagues. With a final crack of his gavel, he declared, "This board rejects the petition of Clear Harbor Ventures for misrepresentation and unlawful conduct." The benches erupted, half applause, half outrage. Danielle tried to shout over it, but security was already at her elbows. My mother turned, tears in her eyes, apology trembling on her lips. I touched the key in my pocket and drew one steady breath. Security escorts Danielle out after she shouts, "This isn't over." Cameras catch her pale, trembling face. Reporters swarm me. "How does it feel to win back your family's legacy?" They said justice delayed is justice denied. I say justice delayed burns brighter when it finally arrives. By August, the heat softened the air, heavy but forgiving. River House was whole again, fresh paint, new locks, cameras humming like sentries. I carried the brass key in my pocket, the same one that once hid in a hospital blanket. It had steadied me through months of trial, and now it pulsed like a heartbeat. Clear Harbor Ventures collapsed within days. Investors fled, contracts dissolved, and civil authorities opened a probe into Danielle's filings. Gregory arrived with updates, blue ink signatures binding the Whitmore Trust airtight. Samuel followed with a flash drive of withdrawals and a sack of hush puppies. "The board door's shut for good," he said. I ate one on the porch, the river scattering sunlight like coins. 2 mornings later, my mother stood in the doorway of River House, eyes rimmed red. "I let ambition blind me to the daughter who stood by truth," she whispered. We sat with tea between us. I accepted her apology but set boundaries. Visits scheduled, no mention of Danielle unless necessary. She nodded, tears slipping but relief clear. It wasn't a full repair, but it was honest. At a modest community hall, folding chairs scraped and fans ticked above reporters and townsfolk. Gregory at my side, I announced the Lydia Whitmore Foundation scholarships for veterans and single mothers. Applause rose steady, affirming something deeper than victory. This was about legacy, not spectacle. That evening, I opened Lydia's old desk with the brass key. Inside was her leather journal, the ink faded but firm. "Strength is not loud. It is steady." The words sank into me like stone in water, grounding and unshakable. Gravel shifted outside. Danielle stood at the foot of the porch, thinner eyes hollow. "Give me at least a shred of dignity," she said, voice stripped of polish. "Dignity isn't given." I told her, steady as the river. "It's kept or lost. You chose the latter." She faltered, and for a flicker I saw the girl she'd once been, daring me to leap off the dock at midnight summers ago. Then she turned and walked into the dark, her figure dissolving into cicada hum and the crunch of tires on shell. Later, I sat at the desk, papers aligned, the trust binder sealed and final. Neighbors had begun dropping by with pies. Reporters wanted quotes of triumph, but I offered none. This wasn't a parade. It was a line drawn in ink, guarded by habit and truth. The house had endured storms of greed and weather. So had I. Soon scholarships would open and footsteps would cross this porch, not to claim, but to build. Night rolled over the river. I placed the brass key into a small box and closed the clasp. The key was never for the doors. It was for my resolve. And I still hold it. I've walked through betrayal, loss, and the long road to justice, and I stand taller for it. If my story moved you, I ask you to leave your thoughts below. Tell me how you would have faced Danielle, or share if you've had to draw hard boundaries in your own life. Your voice matters. Support me by reminding the world that dignity isn't surrendered, it's protected. And remember this: in your own battles, strength is rarely loud. It is steady, documented, and patient. Hold firm to what is yours, and justice, though delayed, will burn brighter when it arrives.